Part 172. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1721. In the immortal mansion courtyard of Jingguan Cave, Patriarch Bodhi and Genren Tai sat opposite each other, while Wu Yu stood respectfully behind Patriarch Bodhi. The golden light cave in Genren is really as beautiful as a fairy painting. It makes people forget to leave every time they come here. Patriarch Bodhi also admired this ethereal fairy palace. It can be said that even if he traveled all over the heaven, he would not be able to find another place like this. Especially the lotus flowers all over the mountains and plains, the fragrance coming from it makes people drunk. What did the Patriarch say? Your square inch of sky is also very desirable. Alas, I really hope that the heavenly court can allocate more layers of heavenly palace to me so that I can be shaped into different shapes. Is it so good? What a pity, Master Tai. He shook his head, and the young man's appearance really made people laugh. I have to say that Tai's character is quite interesting, but Wu Yu felt quite nervous when he met him for the first time, and he was asking for something from him. Look. Having said this, Master Tai raised his hand, shook the lotus folding fan in his hand, and then outlined a colorful rainbow in mid-air, emerging from above the quiet courtyard. On the seven-color rainbow, a picture slowly unfolded, like a roll of dynamic drawing paper, showing the scene of Wu Yu fighting various opponents at the Emperor Immortal trial not long ago. In that rainbow scene, Wu Yu first defeated Lei Tianyuan, the son of Thunder God and Lightning Mother, and then defeated Zhou Niankang, the son of General Tianyuo, followed by the battle against Fairy Yaoju, Li Tianji, and Yang Jian. It can be said that every game in the battles, Wu Yu counterattacked when he was not favored, and finally defeated his opponent. Throughout the entire Emperor Immortal trial, Wu Yu himself has been improving. The Ruyi golden cudgel in his hand has unlocked the two magical powers of dizziness and diamond shield from the first seal to the third seal, allowing him to his strength surpassed all the immortal kings, and even defeated the descendants of top immortals such as Li Tianji and Yang Jian. Awesome, awesome. Master Tai kept looking at Wu Yu's fighting figure on the screen, and praised with a smile on his face, Wu Yu, this golden stick in your hand is not a mortal thing. If it weren't for this epic artifact, you may not be able to win this Emperor Immortal trial. Senior has a keen eye and is right. Wu Yu nodded modestly. The change in the scene on the colorful rainbow actually turned into the moment when Wu Yu faced off against the Fire-Wansing Phoenix Lord. The two battles before and after they stepped into the Emperor Immortal were all revealed. In the former game, Wu Yu was crushed by the Fire-Wansing Phoenix Lord. In the latter game, Wu Yu fought back and used his powerful magical powers after becoming an Emperor Immortal to defeat the Fire-Wansing Phoenix Lord again and regain his reputation. Whether it is the Emperor Immortal trial or the later battle between Fire Dance Phoenix Lord and Wu Yu, it is the focus of attention of the entire heavenly court during this period, and it is normal for Master Tai to notice it. It's just that Wu Yu doesn't know what Tai Genren's purpose is in sketching these scenes at this time. Patriarch Bodhi sat upright with a kind expression, drinking the scented tea that Master Tai made for him, with a smile on his face and said nothing. Then Master Tai glanced at Wu Yu and asked with a smile, Wu Yu, your status in heaven has been greatly increased than before. What's more, you have Patriarch Bodhi as your disciple. I don't know what else is going on. Only the old man can help you. Finally the critical moment came. Wu Yu was a little nervous, but he still saluted respectfully and said, Senior, I have a biological sister who only had a wisp of soul left when I was practicing in the early years. I heard that the real person has a supreme method of bringing people back to life, so I came here. I beg you, Senior, to save my sister Mingtong's life. I'm very grateful to you. He described Mingtong's relationship as his biological sister. In this case, the relationship would make more sense and be easier for people to accept. Resurrection from the dead. Master Tai still smiled softly, with no surprise in his eyes. He seemed to have known Wu Yu's intentions for a long time, or had guessed this matter. After all, Patriarch Bodhi couldn't do it, and the entire heaven there are few things that only he can do. Wu Yu is coming here now, and asking him to use the Eternal Lotus to reshape people's bodies is the most likely option. The Eternal Lotus is the ultimate immortal spirit in heaven and earth. Even an old person has a hard time getting it. The lotus folding fan in Tai's hand was gently swayed, and he said quite elegantly, "Wu Yu, if you want your sister to be saved, there is nothing you can do. But the prerequisite is that you use the golden stick in your hand." The weapon is given to the old man. This exchange is only reasonable. As soon as he said these words, Wu Yu's heart skipped a beat. Actually want Ruyi golden cudgel in exchange? This caught Wu Yu a little off guard. The Ruyi golden cudgel has been with him since the beginning of his training in the Tongtian sword sect, and has been accompanying his growth. It was not until recently, in the Holy Kishin, that the Ruyi golden cudgel finally unlocked the first seal and awakened. Allowing Wu Yu to use this Ruyi golden cudgel. It has to be said that the Ruyi golden cudgel is of great significance to Wu Yu. The original Tianhe town sacred iron is now an era artifact that has unlocked the triple seal. This Ruyi golden cudgel is equivalent to Wu Yu's left and right arms. Once lost, Wu Yu's strength will not only plummet, but also Wu Yu's strength will plummet. The most important thing is that the commemoration is of great significance. This is the most precious thing that Sun Wudao left to him. That old man can be said to have led Wu Yu into the door of monasticism. This is also the most important thing in the inheritance of the predecessor of the great sage of heaven. All the inheritance he obtained is contained in this Ruyi Jinggubang, which is the foundation of all his achievements in cultivation so far. This may also be one of the clues to follow the footsteps of the great sage of heaven in the future. It is very likely that if he loses this Ruyi Jinggubang, he will not be able to find the original truth, including the death of the great sage of heaven and the demise of the entire demon world. No matter from which aspect, the Ruyi Jinggubang is too important to Wu Yu. And if this Ruyi Jinggubang is given to Tai Genren, Wu Yu can imagine that he basically has no possibility of getting it back. Once lost, it is lost forever. But Wu Yu thought of Ming Long, the little girl who had cultivated and grown with him from the beginning, but now has been in a deep sleep, and maybe one day she will never wake up again. Wu Yu absolutely cannot watch Ming Long's residual soul dissipate. But the Ruyi Jinggubang was too important to him, so he couldn't make a decision for a while. In his heart, he was somewhat inclined to hand over the Ruyi Jinggubang. After all, no matter how important it was just an external object to him, while Ming Long was a living person beside him, and he had been like a relative for so many years. But just as he was thinking this, a weak voice sounded from his mind, "Wu Yu, don't." This weak voice was actually Ming Long, who had not appeared for a long time. Perhaps because she was talking about her, she woke up from her deep sleep. She seemed to be aware of the situation in front of her, and then sent a message to Wu Yu in his mind, "Don't use the golden hoop to exchange. If you dare to hand over the golden hoop, this girl will not be happy even if she is resurrected, and will definitely not let you go." She still wanted to threaten Wu Yu fiercely as before, but it was a pity that she was too weak now, so weak that the message he sent had no deterrent power at all. Wu Yu couldn't help but feel distressed. "Don't come out, have a good rest." He could feel how weak Ming Long's residual soul was now, and even the message he sent to him was a little intermittent, which had never happened before. All signs seemed to indicate that Ming Long didn't have much time left now, and her residual soul might dissipate at any time and anywhere. If so, Ming Long would completely disappear from this world, and all her existence would eventually be erased by time. Wu Yu was stunned on the spot. In this quiet courtyard full of lotus flowers, Wu Yu lost his former decisiveness. Ruyi Jinggubang or Ming Long? This choice is too difficult. Especially the news that Ming Long just came out to give him, let him know that compared with her own life, Ming Long hopes to see him reach the top of the entire Tiangong immortal realm with the Ruyi Jinggu Bang, and even avenge the Monkey King and others. What's more, Ming Long's residual soul has been in the Ruyi Jinggu Bang for so long that he almost regards it as his home. Perhaps for her, even if she is willing to die completely, she is unwilling to see her home fall into the hands of others. This choice is too difficult, and Wu Yu is a little confused for a while. He can't watch Ming Long's soul dissipate, but he is unwilling to lose the Ruyi Jinggu Bang. If he has to choose one of the two, he will undoubtedly choose to save Ming Long. It's hard to decide, right? I understand your difficulties very well. Tai Genren smiled faintly. It's just that there has never been a business without capital in this world. What you want to get, you will inevitably lose something, right? What's more, in your body, I am only a little interested in this thing. What he said is right, but if Wu Yu makes up his mind like this, it will be difficult to explain to Ming Long. Although Ming Long feels very weak now, his attitude is very firm, and he is absolutely unwilling to see Wu Yu hand over the Ruyi Jinggu Bang. So Wu Yu looked embarrassed. Senior, I'm afraid I need to think about it for a while. No problem. Tai Genren was easygoing and waved his hand casually, not urging Wu Yu to make a decision. But he looked at Wu Yu and asked with a smile, why don't you let me see how your sister is doing first? It will also allow you and me to be mentally prepared. Okay. Wu Yu nodded solemnly. Ming Long's situation was soon displayed in front of Tai Genren. Feeling her extremely weak residual soul, Tai Genren couldn't help shaking his head. She shouldn't have much time left. Wu Yu, if you don't want to see your sister's soul dissipate, you must make a decision as soon as possible. These words made Wu Yu feel even more depressed. Of course he knew that Ming Long was very weak, and even had been sleeping for tens of thousands of years, but when Tai Genren said it, Wu Yu realized the urgency of the situation. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1722. Wu Yu couldn't decide for a while and left Jianyuan temporarily. Soon he returned to Fang Kunshan and stopped wandering around for the time being. To him, Ming Long's affairs were much more important than anything else. After explaining the situation to Luo Bin couldn't make up his mind for him. After all, one side is the Ruyi Golden Cudgel, and the other side is Ming Long, who has been with Wu Yu ever since he started practicing. Wu Yu doesn't want to give up either aspect. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi also learned about the situation here from the messenger talisman. Like Luo Bin, they could not provide Wu Yu with a choice. This matter must be decided by Wu Yu himself. There was not much time left for Wu Yu. He was practicing as usual in Fang Kunshan. At the same time, he went to communicate more with Ming Long. Ming Long, how long has it been since you died? Wu Yu asked tentatively. I can't remember clearly. Ming Tong's response came a little slowly, and she was a little confused and hazy. It was obvious that her consciousness was no longer as clear as before. After Ming Long's death, he has been staying in the Ruyi Golden Cudgel as a remnant of his soul. It's unknown how long it has been until now. Because of the Ruyi Golden Cudgel, it is remarkable that Ming Long's soul can survive until now, but even so, it is almost time to run out of energy. I once promised you that I would resurrect you. Since I promised, I must do it. Wu Yu talked to Ming Long from time to time, but many times, Ming Long did not respond to his words. Only when the matter of resurrecting her was mentioned, she would vehemently object. Wu Yu was in the room, and the Ruyi Golden Cudgel was placed in front of him. He clearly knew that Ming Long's remnant soul was in it. Whether she could be resurrected depended on whether Wu Yu could make this difficult choice. You are absolutely not allowed to hand over the Golden Cudgel. Wu Yu, although I have been clamoring for resurrection, but when death is imminent, I don't really want to come back to life. There is no need for you to exchange the Golden Cudgel with that Tai real person. of. At this time, Minglong would in turn persuade Wu Yu to let him keep the Ruyi golden cudgel. This is the foundation of Wu Yu's cultivation, and its importance to him is self-evident. If the Ruyi golden cudgel also has life, it must also be a friend that Wu Yu cannot give up. It's a pity that the Ruyi golden cudgel cannot be compared with Minglong. In Wu Yu's heart, Minglong cannot be given up. And Master Tai's side is his only chance. How important is the golden cudgel to you? It is also related to the inheritance of the Monkey King. Among the inheritors of the golden cudgel in the past generations, Wu Yu, you have done the best and have gone the farthest. You will definitely have a better future. It's even more limitless. You can't hand over the golden cudgel for me. Think about it. Even if you save me, I will be a drag next to you. And you don't have the Ruyi golden cudgel, how will you go in the future? Have you forgotten the blood feud in the world of demons and gods? And how can you avenge Monkey King and the others without the Ruyi golden cudgel? Minglong used his limited energy to start reasoning with Wu Yu. She was still unwilling for Wu Yu to use the golden cudgel to exchange for the chance of her rebirth with Master Tai. Don't say stupid things. Wu Yu looked serious. If you are resurrected, you will definitely be one of the most important people around me. How can you be a scumbag? I will never allow you to say that. Even so, the golden cudgel is much more important to you. What use will this girl have to you if I live? It's better to keep the Ruyi golden cudgel, so that you can better serve the Monkey King and the Emperor Demon of the Demon God realm in the future. They take revenge. If you lose the Ruyi golden cudgel, will you be worthy of the Monkey King? Minglong's attitude was very determined. Wu Yu saw that she was getting weaker and weaker, and the aura of the remnant soul was getting weaker and weaker, so he didn't say anything more to her. Her attitude was obvious. Wu Yu knew that it would be difficult for him to change her opinion, but in this matter, it was obviously impossible for Wu Yu to make a choice based on her attitude. Wu Yu fell into deep entanglement. This choice is really too difficult. The key is that Minglong's attitude is still so determined, which makes him hesitate. No one can help Wu Yu with this choice. Even the respected patriarch Bodhi could not help Wu Yu. This decision must be made by Wu Yu himself after thinking clearly. He thought about it for 7 days and nights in Fangkuntian's palace. During these 7 days and nights, he recalled everything from the beginning of his acquaintance with Minglong to the present. After becoming a god and entering heaven, the communication between him and Minglong became less frequent. In fact, from that time on, Minglong slept for longer and longer, and rarely came out to talk to Wu Yu. In the past, Wu Yu had always had a clear goal, worked hard for it, and even ran away and practiced to survive. This made him often ignore Mingtong, but he would think of her occasionally, and he was a little confused as to why she hadn't appeared for a long time. Only now did Wu Yu know that it was because her remnant soul was about to disappear. In the beginning, although Wu Yu received the Ruyi golden cudgel, he was unable to comprehend the inheritance within the golden cudgel. At that time, it was Minglong who taught him various magical powers. Although Minglong was very playful at that time and always regarded herself as an ant, it was exactly that made Wu Yu feel friendly when he recalled her. He thought about it for 7 days and nights before finally making a decision. Minglong, wait until I revive you. Wu Yu stood up, holding the Ruyi golden cudgel in his hand, and then announced his decision to Minglong. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. What? Why are you so stupid? Minglong couldn't help but cursed, Auntie, I worked so hard to turn you into a god. Is it easy? You actually gave up the golden cudgel like this. It can be heard that she is very excited and angry now. For her, watching Wu Yu grow up has been very satisfying. The moment Wu Yu truly became a god, or even an emperor, she felt so years of hard work finally paid off. But when Wu Yu decided to give up the Ruyi golden cudgel, she felt as if Wu Yu was giving up the inheritance of the Monkey King. Even though Wu Yu has now perfected the four great magical powers of Monkey King, the Ruyi Golden Cudgel is also a symbol of Monkey King's inheritance. What's more, there are still more seals of Chongtian that have not been unlocked. Wu Yu will definitely become Wu Yu in the future. Use strongest method. As a result, Wu Yu gave up the golden cudgel just like that. Ming Long, you don't have to persuade me. Wu Yu, however, had a serious expression on his face. I have thought carefully about it these past 7 days. Although it is difficult to choose between you and the golden cudgel, I, Wu Yu, only want to do things without regrets. If I give up on you this time, I will never regret it in the future. I will definitely regret it. Instead of regretting it later, it is better to make a decision now and resurrect you first. You handed over the Ruyi Golden Cudgel, wouldn't you still regret it? Ming Long was very unhappy. That's different. Wu Yu explained, although the Ruyi Golden Cudgel was given to Master Tai, it does not exist anymore. There will always be a chance to get it back in the future. Maybe you can ask Master Tai if there is anything you can use to follow it in the future, he exchanges. But for you, this is the last chance. In the past 7 days, Wu Yu had figured out that for him, once Ming Long's remnant soul completely dissipated, it would be irreversible, and Ming Long would cease to exist forever. But the Ruyi Golden Cudgel will still exist in this world even if it is given to Master Tai. While it may be difficult to get it back, as long as it exists, there is hope. Perhaps making this decision is a bit sorry for the Monkey King, but for Wu Yu, this is the only decision he can make now that he does not regret. After saying that, he ignored Ming Long's fierce objections, took the Ruyi Golden Cudgel and went to see Patriarch Bodhi. If you want to see Master Tai, you really need the guidance of Patriarch Bodhi. Based on Wu Yu's own words, it is still difficult to see Master Tai. In the Bodhi hall, Patriarch Bodhi was sitting upright with his eyes closed to meditate. When Wu Yu came to the front and expressed his decision, Patriarch Bodhi couldn't help but open his wise eyes and was a little surprised. You want to hand over your epic artifact? This is the top epic artifact. If you lose it, it will be gone. Yes, I have made my final decision. At least this way, I will have a clear conscience and will not regret it in the future, Wu Yu said solemnly. Seeing that Wu Yu was so determined, Patriarch Bodhi did not try to persuade him anymore, but felt helpless. This is Wu Yu's own decision. Patriarch Bodhi understands that nothing he says is of any use. What's more, he also understands Wu Yu's words. If he doesn't hand over the artifact of the era, when Ming Long's remnant soul is completely dissipated, Wu Yu will definitely regret it. Rather than doing this, it would be better to make a decision directly to resurrect Ming Long. Okay, come with me. As soon as Patriarch Bodhi raised his hand, he took Wu Yu directly out of the Bodhi hall, left Fangkuntian, and once again went to the Golden Light Cave in Xuanhuan Nation to find Genren Tai. It didn't take long for Wu Yu to make this decision. 7 days and 7 nights were like a snap of a finger to an immortal. So when the Xuanhuan Golden Light Cave once again welcomed Patriarch Bodhi and Wu Yu, Master Tai came out to greet them and took them back to the quiet courtyard. You came here this time, but you have already thought about handing over the artifact of the era. Master Tai greeted the two people with a smile on his face, looking very expectant. Yes. This junior is willing to hand over the artifact of the era, and also asks the senior to help my biological sister Ming Long bring her back to life. Wu Yu's attitude was quite determined. That's very good. Master Tai smiled with satisfaction. It was obvious that he was very happy. However, as a senior, he was also very graceful. He did not ask for Wu Yu's golden cudgel first, but waved his hand. Come with me, I will do it for you. First reshape your sister's body, and then give me the artifact of the era. He is the top emperor immortal in heaven, so of course he is not afraid that Wu Yu will regret it when the time comes. Even if Wu Yu wanted to repent, Patriarch Bodhi would not be able to protect him, So Master Tai was not in a hurry at all. Following Master Tai all the way, everyone soon came to a place called the Eternal Lotus Pond. At 2 o'clock in the evening, the new book Holy Dragon Totem will be updated with 3 chapters. I have written a bit too much today. The first chapter of Swallowing the Sky will be resumed tomorrow with the second chapter. Keep up the good work, thank you all. New book will be updated in a few hours. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1723. The Eternal Lotus Pond is a mysterious place within Xuanhuan heaven. The main material that can bring people's remnant souls back to life lies here. In this Eternal Lotus Pond, there are countless lotus flowers growing, but there is only one eternal lotus among them. It takes millions of years for this eternal lotus to bear a few lotus roots and bloom a single lotus. Even for Master Tai, said, this is an extremely precious treasure. But I saw the eternal lotus, with 99 and 81 petals, exuding a holy white light, full of vitality, making people feel the breath of life just by looking at it. Honestly, even if you exchange your epic artifact with this real person is still a little reluctant to part with it. This immortal lotus is one of the most magical treasures in the world. It takes millions of years to get one tai. Yi Zhenren clicked his tongue, feeling a little pity. Ha ha. Patriarch Bodhi smiled and said, don't act like a good boy when you get an advantage. Your eternal lotus has been useless for millions of years, isn't it just waiting to be exchanged for other treasures? This epical artifact of the evil disciple is definitely among the top ranks, and it is absolutely unparalleled in the world. The second one. Your eternal lotus will bloom again in millions of years, and you won't lose anything. You can't say that. Bodhi, this is a fair trade. No matter how powerful the artifact of the era is, it is only an external possession. How can it be compared to the life of a loved one? Tai Zhenren smiled smartly and waved his sleeves. Look, the lotus in the center is the eternal lotus. It takes millions of years to bloom one, and using this as a guide, you can shape it. The holy lotus body, no matter whose soul is attached to it, is born to be an immortal, and has very high qualifications. It can at least become an immortal king. If you work hard, it is not impossible to become an emperor. From a ray of remnant soul to immortality, what kind of fortune is this in the world? Even in the entire Tiangong immortal realm, there is no one else who can do this. As Master Tai spoke, he exuded a sacred and awe-inspiring aura and walked towards the center of the eternal lotus pond. When this kind of aura appeared, Patriarch Bodhi led Wu Yu back and said with a somewhat serious expression, just wait and see, the real person is about to start. Wu Yu felt a little nervous and excited now. The long-awaited moment for Ming Tong's resurrection is finally coming. Although the price paid is a bit high, even the Ruyi golden cudgel was handed over, but for him, a promise is a promise, and in order to not regret it in the future, he must make this choice. Inside the eternal lotus pond, Master Tai gently picked the eternal lotus bit by bit with his bare hands and a look of love in his eyes. A total of 99 and 81 eternal lotus petals were carefully picked off little by Master Tai. Each eternal lotus petal was suspended in the sky above the eternal lotus pond, and gradually formed into the shape of a human body. Wu Yu was watching the scene with Patriarch Bodhi. Even Patriarch Bodhi is very interested in this. After all, this method of bringing the dead back to life with the immortal lotus is usually unseen. Patriarch Bodhi has never seen Master Tai perform these methods before. As Master Tai's various imperial magic and imperial magic powers were displayed, the 81 petals of the eternal lotus emitted all kinds of strange brilliance. These brilliance were dazzling, but every ray of light could I feel that there is some kind of life and death in it. This is an existence at the level of Master Tai. He has a unique understanding of life and death. Only by combining these methods with Master T'ai can the effectiveness of the Eternal Lotus be fully exerted. Although the Eternal Lotus is precious and is the top treasure in heaven, no one else can reshape it into a human body and achieve the effect of bringing people back to life. It can be said that if you want to resurrect Ming Long, this Eternal Lotus is a condition, and T'ai Genren himself is also a condition. Besides finding T'ai Genren, Wu Yu really couldn't think of any other way to resurrect Ming Long. The key was that Ming Long's time was running out and her soul was already too weak. In such a short period of time, Wu Yu could not revive Ming Long at all. Can't find any other way. Above the Eternal Lotus Pond, under the influence of T'ai Genren's Emperor Immortal magic, all the petals of the Eternal Lotus have formed the shape of a curled-up girl. On the body of this girl, countless small lotus flowers bloom, covering her whole body. They are all wrapped up, as if they are bathing in a sea of flowers. This is the lotus holy body, and from now on it will be Ming Long's body. Wu Yu couldn't quite see the situation in the Eternal Lotus Pond now, because it was filled with smoke and clouds, and the strong breath of life actually condensed into clouds, lingering in the Eternal Lotus Pond like clouds. T'ai Genren's Emperor Immortal magic continued to be displayed, and the dense breath of life simply surrounded the people. Here comes the soul. With a soft drink from Master T'ai, the Ruyi golden cudgel that had been held by Wu Yu flew up. Ming Long's soul, which had been hiding in the Ruyi golden cudgel, was captured by Master T'ai with the Emperor's hand. The immortal magic was drawn out, and the strong breath of life was mixed into the Eternal Lotus Pond, and the immortal God was actually formed. Immortals are the foundation of immortals. Only by possessing immortals can one be regarded as an immortal, able to break away from the realm of mortals and have a lifespan many times longer than that of mortals. Once the lotus holy body is condensed, it will become an immortal. This can be regarded as giving Ming Long a relatively high starting point. He does not need to start practicing from a mortal, which saves a lot of effort. The immortal God formed from Ming Long's soul quickly immersed himself in the dense aura of life in the Eternal Lotus Pond, and merged into the already formed lotus holy body. Resurrection from the dead. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. The key magical power of T'ai Genren was only used at this time, leading the soul to become an immortal God, entering the lotus holy body, and finally combining the immortal God and the lotus holy body together. 49 days, this is the most critical moment. It is not so easy to combine the immortal God condensed by Ming Long's soul with the lotus holy body. At least, apart from T'ai Genren, there is probably no one else in the entire heaven who can do it. This is also the only hope for Ming Long's resurrection. The closer he is to success, the more nervous Wu Yu becomes. He has been looking forward to this day for too long. From the beginning of knowing Ming Long, when he was still in Tongtian Sword Sect, he promised Ming Long that he would definitely revive Ming Long in the future, and later he also agreed to many conditions of Ming Long, which seemed to be quite difficult to fulfill at the time. But now it seems that all the conditions at the beginning have disappeared. After becoming an immortal, his horizons were broadened. Even if Ming Long was resurrected, he would become an immortal directly, and no longer needed the treasures of the mortal world. Originally, Ming Long was looking forward to being able to cultivate to become an immortal with some treasures of the mortal world after his resurrection, but now he didn't need it. For a full 49 days, T'ai Genren was in the Eternal Lotus Pond, motionless, but the lotus holy body in the center was more and more alive, and the vigorous vitality seemed to be integrated into the interior of the lotus holy body. At this time, the lotus holy body looked like a holy white lotus. But when the day came, when T'ai Genren's resurrection magical power was completed, the white lotus finally bloomed completely, and a peerless woman with black hair and black eyes appeared in front of them. This is Ming Long. Her lotus holy body is slender, exquisite, and slender, looking sexy and hot, with lotus petals condensed into a black long skirt, revealing a little white skin, which is simply breathtakingly beautiful. At least in Wu Yu's opinion, just at this first glance, Ming Long is much more beautiful than Fairy Yao Yun and Fairy Ling Mi. Especially Fairy Ling Mi, who is also sexy and hot, but compared with the current Ming Long, she lacks a unique charm, which may come from the lotus holy body of the eternal lotus, or it may come from Ming Long's soul. Or it is the combination of these two that makes her have this unique sexy charm. However, Wu Yu is not concerned about her appearance, but her eyes. After going through untold hardships, Ming Long finally resurrected, and directly became an immortal, with a long life. It can be said that from then on, he has the capital to practice all the way up, which is much better than the foundation of the previous life. At this time, Ming Long's watery eyes seemed to have thousands of emotions. She looked at Wu Yu, her eyes were full of emotion and guilt. Ming Long. Wu Yu stood up, his heart full of excitement. You, Humph, I told you not to listen to me. Ming Long was very touched, but when she thought of Wu Yu's upcoming handover of the Ruyi Jingbang, her face became a little unhappy, and she cursed, "What a stupid boy. Haha, I'm not stupid. Seeing you resurrect, I have fulfilled my original promise. I believe I will not regret this decision." Wu Yu laughed loudly, his tone firm. Being able to see Ming Long resurrected meant that Wu Yu had fulfilled a wish. Haha. I'll see if you will regret it later. Ming Long was angry and jumped down from the eternal life lotus pond in one step. She got familiar with this new lotus holy body, and walked slowly with her long legs, slowly coming to Wu Yu, with a burst of fragrance, and a natural charm. As they got closer, the mist of the lotus dissipated, and a delicate face appeared in front of Wu Yu. With curiosity in her lively and sexy eyes, she stretched out her fair little hands and pinched Wu Yu's left and right cheeks, then laughed. It seems that becoming an emperor fairy is no different, it's still soft when pinched. Wu Yu was amused by her. This girl was resurrected and was as carefree as before. You too, you can go back and talk about the past. Now, shouldn't you hand over the epic artifact to me? Tai Genren walked out of the eternal lotus pond, and his eyes seemed a little impatient. It seems that he is looking forward to the Ruyi Jingbang. Today, I was busy thinking about a large section of the Swallowing Heaven record, which delayed my writing time. Today, I will write one chapter first. However, since I have the idea, it will be easier to write tomorrow. There should be more than 3 chapters. Please be patient. There will be more chapters in the new book. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1724. Tai Genren has already done all this. For him, the main thing is to get the Ruyi Jingbang in Wu Yu's hand. This top emperor immortal in the entire Tiangong immortal realm has a hobby of collecting various epic artifacts, so he is interested in Wu Yu's epic artifact. Senior, I wonder how I can redeem this epic artifact. Wu Yu tightly grasped the Ruyi Jingbang and asked reluctantly. If there is a way to redeem the Ruyi Jingbang, he must try his best to risk his life, and he will not let the Ruyi Jingbang leave for too long. But Tai Genren shook his head and said, my hobby is to collect all kinds of treasures. Since the treasure is in my hands, there is absolutely no possibility of returning it. This made Wu Yu very regretful. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. He could only reluctantly hand over the Ruyi Jingbang to Tai Genren. Seeing him take away this top-level epic artifact that had always accompanied him, Wu Yu's mood was mixed and indescribable. Even Ming Long, who had just resurrected next to him, was in a bad mood. Seeing the Ruyi Jingbang leave, he felt a little depressed. After all, she had existed in the Ruyi Jingbang for such a long time. If it weren't for this epic artifact, she would have been shattered and completely disappeared from this world. How could she have the chance to be resurrected now? Her eyes were red and she felt like crying, but she held back and didn't say much. Wu Yu did all this to revive her. This was the promise Wu Yu made to her at the beginning, but later she no longer expected this. For her, it was enough to see Wu Yu being well. But now, Wu Yu still handed over the Ruyi Jingbang in exchange for her resurrection. Alas, it's time to go. Bodhi Patriarch looked at this and was reluctant to let her go. He knew very well how important this epic artifact was to Wu Yu. During the Emperor Immortal trial alone, how many tough opponents did Wu Yu defeat with this Ruyi Jingbang? It's a pity that now he can only hand it over to Tai Genren, and there is no possibility of getting it back in the future. Fortunately, Ming Long was really resurrected, which should be good news for Wu Yu. Bodhi Patriarch did not entangle too much, so he had to take them away and return to Fangkuntian. Ming Long was silent all the way. Her lotus holy body has a peerless appearance, and her silent and sad appearance is even more lovable. Don't think too much, at least you are resurrected now, which is a big deal for me. Let's go, I'll take you to see Luo Bin and the others. Wu Yu smiled at her and patted her shoulder. Do you think Luo Bin will hate me? Ming Long used to be carefree, but after resurrection, he is now a little shy, as if he is not used to his current identity. After all, anyone who dies for many years and then comes back to life needs to adapt for a while. She is a little worried that Luo Bin will hate her. After all, Wu Yu handed over his most important epic artifact, the Ruyi Jingbang, for her. How is this possible? Wu Yu shook his head. He knew very well that Luo Bin was not such a petty person, and Luo Bin also knew what Ming Long meant to him. Not long after, they parted with Bodhi Patriarch and returned to his palace in the Xianfu of Ziyu Sangxing cave. Ming Long is also familiar with everything in this place. After all, although she rarely spoke before, she also observed the outside world during her sleep and knew that Wu Yu and others were now living in this Xianfu. Brother Yu, you're back. Yezixi happened to pass by and was pleasantly surprised to see Wu Yu. She looked at Ming Long beside Wu Yu and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Is this elder sister Ming Long? She's so beautiful." Yeah. Ming Long nodded a little reservedly. Originally, she looked fearless in the Ruyi Jingbang, but after resurrection, she became a little timid. At this time, Nanshan Wanjiao also walked out of the palace and saw Wu Yu at a glance, a little nervous. How is it, is the matter done? Almost at the same time, Luo Bin, who felt the movement outside, also walked out of another room in the palace. She was originally in seclusion, but this matter was more important, so she ran out to take a look. Let me introduce you, this is Ming Long, she will practice with us in the future. Wu Yu introduced her, and he didn't say more. Anyway, everyone is familiar with Ming Long and knows her existence, but she existed in the form of a soul before. Wow! Nanshan Wanjiao only took one look at the black-clad woman in front of him, and immediately couldn't take his eyes off her. Ms. Ming Long, my name is Nanshan Wanjiao, hello, hello. Is there any chance to invite you to dinner? His flirtatious character came back again, and it was obvious that he was attracted to Ming Long at once. It was a pity that when Nanshan Wanjiao acted like a pig, Ming Long suddenly found a tough feeling of the past, and immediately snorted, Nanshan Wanjiao, you still dare to have ideas about me? If you keep staring at me, I will dig out your eyes. Wow, do you have to be so cruel? Nanshan Wanjiao immediately shouted exaggeratedly, why can old Wu look at you, but I can't? Who made you so wretched? Even Yezixi couldn't stand it anymore, and started to join Ming Long to fight against Nanshan Wanjiao. Nanshan Wanjiao was upset, crying and shouting, oh my god, I finally got a sexy beauty by my side, and she's my type, but she turned out to be a shrew. It's over. Ming Long was about to get angry, you pig, you actually said that your aunt is a shrew? You must have never been beaten. She rolled up her sleeves and started to fight. Nanshan Wanjiao ran away for a while. Facing Ming Long, he didn't dare to fight back. At this moment, the palace was full of joy. Nanshan Wanjiao was actually just livening up the atmosphere. He had long known that Ming Long had a tough personality, but he was not interested in this kind of girl. He liked the kind of artistic beauty who could enjoy the beauty with him. It was a pity that there was no one around. He was out recently, but he met many beautiful fairies suitable for him, which could satisfy his desire to perform. If it weren't for the big event of Ming Long's resurrection, he would not be willing to come back. Seeing them making a fuss, Wu Yu felt relieved. Although he handed over the Ruyi Jinggubang, he would never regret it if Ming Long could be resurrected. But at this moment, everyone's faces changed, and they all looked at Ming Long in the field. In their eyes, the peerless woman with black hair and black eyes suddenly changed her appearance. Her lively eyes suddenly turned blood red, and her black hair suddenly turned white. In the eyes of Wu Yu and others, Ming Long's appearance changed a little, becoming a little charming and a little cold. That appearance gave Wu Yu a familiar feeling. This familiar feeling came from the depths of Wu Yu's memory. If it weren't for this scene, Wu Yu would have forgotten that memory. Although there was not much change in her appearance, Wu Yu and others could still see the difference in the woman in front of them at a glance. Ha, ha ha ha, I can actually have this day. Wu Yu, you didn't expect it, did you? After Ming Long changed into this white-haired and blood-red-eyed appearance, he stared at Wu Yu with a teasing look in his eyes. Qin Fu Hua. Wu Yu gritted his teeth and said. He finally remembered that the person in front of him was Tianhai Yufu Hua from the East Sea of the former Yamafu world. This woman was the daughter of a ghost cultivator who sneaked into the Yanhuang Emperor city and almost contributed to the rebirth of the devouring demon ancestor. Even the current Qin Fu Hua, or Tianhai Yufu Hua, is actually the devouring demon ancestor himself. She carries the consciousness of the devouring demon ancestor. Unexpectedly, she is now reborn with Ming Long. Once in the world of Yama, in Dongsheng Shenzhou, the devouring demon ancestor almost reborn and took away Wu Yu's body. In the end, he was suppressed by the Ruyi Jinggubang. From then on, the soul of Tianhai Yufu was suppressed in the Ruyi Jinggubang. At first, her soul would appear from time to time and threaten Wu Yu. But later, Tianhai Yufu did not appear at all, so Wu Yu gradually ignored her. Unexpectedly, she was attached to the soul of Ming Long. This time, Tai Genren was reborn with the soul of Ming Long, and she was reborn with him. Now, it is equivalent to Ming Long and Tianhai Yufu sharing this lotus holy body. They have the same immortal God and the same body, but they have two different consciousnesses, a bit like the situation of Hua Huangjun and Nangong Wei. But now, Wu Yu can't tell whose consciousness occupies the dominant position in her body. When Wu Yu said the name Qin Fu Hui, Luo Bin, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yezixi were also shocked. Like Wu Yu, they did not expect such a shocking change. Originally, Ming Long's resurrection was a great joy. But now, it seems to have become an extremely difficult matter. Wu Yu paid the price of the Ruyi Jinggubang for this. Don't let the resurrection become a devouring demon ancestor, Tianhai Yufu Hui. Wu Yu, you didn't expect it? Ha ha ha. Tianhai Yufu Hui had white hair and bloodshot eyes, with a threatening look on her face. I know everything about you, all your experiences, can't be hidden from my eyes. One day, I will take back everything that belongs to me, including your devouring heaven body. Wu Yu and the others became nervous and wanted to subdue her first. But unexpectedly, the next moment, she only left a series of laughter, and turned into a puff of black smoke and disappeared completely in front of them. This sudden change made Wu Yu's mood sink to the bottom of the valley. No one could have imagined that there would be such a change. This not only put Wu Yu in danger, but also made Wu Yu worry about Ming Long's safety, fearing that Ming Long would be excluded by Tianhai Yufu Hui and completely disappear. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1725. When Ming Long, or Tianhai Yufu Hui, disappeared from their sight, the remaining Wu Yu and the others looked at each other in bewilderment. They were really puzzled. It was supposed to be such a happy event, but Tianhai Yufu Wei came out to disrupt it. Go and look around to see if you can find her. As long as you find her, I will ask Bodhi Patriarch for help to see if I can drive Tianhai Yufu Wei's soul out of it. This was the only way Wu Yu could think of. Luo Bin and the others also knew that the matter was urgent, so they nodded immediately and went their separate ways. I'll go to the well of eternal life to watch. If I see her, I'll stop her immediately and then notify you. Nanshan Wanjiao first thought of a place, the well of eternal life. If Tianhai Yufu Wei wanted to leave Fangkuntian, she would definitely have to pass through the well of eternal life. Okay, please. Wu Yu nodded seriously, and then set off immediately. Without any hesitation, he started searching in Fangkuntian. He summoned the somersault cloud, and then used the magical power of instant breath to shuttle back and forth in Fangkuntian. When using instant breath, Wu Yu could cross half of Fangkuntian in an instant, so it was most appropriate for him to be the main searcher. In addition, Yezixi and Luo Bin also searched separately, hoping to find the trace of Tianhai Yufu Wei now. As for Nanshan Wanjiao, he went to guard near the well of eternal life. Once the other party appeared, he could immediately appear to stop him. After all, Fangkuntian could be said to be the territory of Bodhi Patriarch. It was not so easy for ordinary people to leave. The key is that no one knows what means Tianhai Yufu Wei has now. Obviously, the lotus holy body has just been reshaped, and its own realm is only the most ordinary immortal. How could it suddenly disappear from their sight? Wu Yu was anxious. If Tianhai Yufu Wei was determined to hide, it would be difficult for him to find her. Even if the other party hides in Fangkuntian, they can hide for a long time. Wu Yu is fast, but it will take a lot of time to search the entire heavenly palace. Unknowingly, several days have passed, and Wu Yu has not found any clues about Tianhai Yufu. There is no news from Nanshan Wanjiao, and there is no trace of Tianhai Yufu near the well of eternal life. The same is true for Luo Bin and Yezixi. The search has been fruitless in the past few days, which makes Wu Yu's mood almost sink to the bottom. Finally, they can only return to the Ziyu Sangzingdong Immortal Mansion and meet up. They shook their heads and said that they didn't find any trace of Tianhai Yufu. This is not fun now. What if Tianhai Yufu swallowed Minglong's consciousness? Nanshan Wanjiao shook his head and frowned, hoping to come up with a way to help Wu Yu. It's a pity that in this situation, he can't think of any good way at all. Just when everyone was in trouble and worried, a communication talisman suddenly appeared in front of them, making Wu Yu immediately nervous and checking the content of the communication talisman. It was sent by Minglong. Wu Yu took a look and said, "She said she is now in the 7199th heaven, the layer below our Fankan heaven. Her state is that she and the devouring demon ancestor share the body, and they are basically evenly matched, and neither can do anything to the other. Every time Minglong controls the body, he will try to rush to Wu Yu. But before he arrived, the devouring demon ancestor had regained control of the body and let her go farther away. Did she send us her current location? Let's go over and take a look." Luo Bin said immediately. "Well, in a deep mountain in the next layer of heaven, I'll go over and take a look first, I'm faster alone." Wu Yu nodded, and then shuttled through space at the fastest speed with the means of instant. The rest of Nanshan Wanjiao and the others waited nervously, but soon they saw Wu Yu coming back, shaking his head as he came back. Obviously he couldn't find Minglong. "It seems that before I found her, the devouring demon ancestor had regained control of his body and left that place." Wu Yu shook his head and said, "I can only wait for her to send another communication fairy talisman. Then I will go there as quickly as possible to see if I can find her before the devouring demon ancestor controls her body." Yes. Everyone nodded. This is indeed the only way now. Then they began to wait. During this period, there were several times when Minglong sent a communication fairy talisman. Wu Yu almost immediately set out to the place she marked, but when Wu Yu arrived, the other party was still the same as the first time, and had disappeared without a trace. Every time Wu Yu was able to find the place faster, but he had never been able to intercept the devouring demon ancestor's departure. After several times like this, Wu Yu basically understood that with the current state of the devouring demon ancestor and Ming Long, it was basically impossible for him to catch up with the other party. Because Ming Long and Tian Mozu are in a state of balance now, neither side can completely destroy the other, so they can only control each other for a period of time like now. When Ming Long controls the body, of course he hopes to return to Wu Yu and find a way to drive Tian Mozu out. Tian Mozu knows everything about Wu Yu, and naturally knows that if she is intercepted by Wu Yu and sent to Bodhi Patriarch, she will most likely be eliminated by Bodhi Patriarch. After all, Bodhi Patriarch is the top emperor of the heaven, and no one knows what kind of magical ability he has. Just by looking at Master Tai's resurrection from the dead, we know that this level of top emperor immortal must not be underestimated. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Minglong and Nangong Wei are both problems. Wu Yu is now seriously troubled by these two problems. First of all, as for Nangong Wei and Huo Wuhuang Lord, he had no idea what their situation was, or what happened to them that allowed her to obtain that mysterious and huge fortune. As for the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, the problem is even bigger. At least although the situation on Nangong Wei's side is mysterious, Wu Yu can't do anything to harm him if he doesn't want to pay attention to it. As for the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor, once she exposes everything about Wu Yu, it will be a huge hidden danger for Wu Yu. Regarding the Monkey King, the burial of the immortal emperor of the demon god realm, and all these things, it is now no one in heaven knows about it. This is also what Wu Yu is most worried about now. Of course, Wu Yu is also very worried about Ming Long. If Ming Long is swallowed up and destroyed by the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor in the lotus sacred body, Wu Yu will not let go of the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor no matter what, and will definitely let her taste it all. All the pain in the world. Several times in a row, Wu Yu was unable to arrive before the heaven-devouring demon ancestor left. Immediately afterwards, Ming Long sent him a messenger talisman, telling him to ignore the matter. Don't worry, I will handle this heaven-swallowing demon ancestor herself. Just wait for my aunt to come back. The last communication talisman sent such a message, and then she disappeared completely, leaving Wu Yu with nothing to do. Obviously Ming Long also felt that troublesome Wu Yu running around like this would have no effect at all, but would waste Wu Yu's time, and since she said such words, she might have some confidence. Of course, Wu Yu didn't expect her to solve the problem in a short time. Even if there is a way to get rid of the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor, it will take a long time to be possible, and now it seems that the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor is slightly stronger and can control her body for a longer time. It's just that Wu Yu has no choice but to worry now. If Ming Long doesn't take the initiative to contact him, he won't know the other party's location at all. Looking for her traces in the entire heaven is simply harder than climbing to the sky. You must know that the entire 8,000 heavenly palace is too vast. Many places are even inaccessible and deserted. If the heaven-devouring demon ancestor were to hide in those places, Wu Yu would have to find tens of thousands of people. It would be impossible to find her for years. Under these circumstances, Wu Yu had no intention of practicing on weekdays. After all, these two things consume too much of his energy. But suddenly one day, he sensed an incredible thing, that is, the Ruyi golden cudgel he had given to Master Tai seemed to be approaching him at an extremely fast speed. This startled him. How could the Ruyi golden cudgel come back on its own? He walked out of the palace in confusion and happened to meet Luo Ben, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yezixi together. Seeing his strange expression, Luo Ben was the first to ask with concern, "What's wrong? Is there any news about Ming Long?" "No." Wu Yu shook his head and said, It's just a little strange. It seems that the Ruyi golden cudgel is returning to me. I wonder if it's my imagination. Although he said this, he could clearly feel that the familiar aura of Ruyi golden cudgel was getting closer and closer to him. What? Did I hear it wrong? Nanshan Wanjiao was stunned for a moment. Didn't the Ruyi golden cudgel go to that Tai kid? If it fell into his hands, how could it be returned? Old Wu, are you worried too much and hallucinating? If his words reached the ears of Master Tai, I'm afraid he would feel uncomfortable, but since they were all his own people here, he certainly wasn't afraid of Master Tai knowing about it. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a burst of golden light shone down from the sky, and then a golden stick fell from the sky, landed accurately in front of Wu Yu, and plunged into the ground with a bang. Nanshan Wanjiao was immediately dumbfounded. He's really back. Luo Bai and Yezixi also stood up immediately, looking shocked. They were all very familiar with the Ruyi golden cudgel. This was the treasure that Wu Yu had carried with him every step of the way. It was a top epic artifact that even top emperors and immortals like Tai Genren would covet. Therefore, they all recognized the golden stick that appeared in front of them at a glance. It was Wu Yu's Ruyi golden cudgel. There was no way they could admit it. My dear, old Wu, did you do anything to this? This is impossible. Nanshan Wanjiao couldn't believe it. No matter what, this Ruyi golden cudgel actually returned on its own. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1726. Wu Yu and the four of them were all shocked. Seeing the Ruyi golden cudgel appear in front of them, they couldn't believe it. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. However, the connection between Wu Yu and the Ruyi golden cudgel makes it absolutely certain that this is indeed the Ruyi golden cudgel. The other three people also have some connection with the Ruyi golden cudgel. It is obvious that this is real and definitely not true. Counterfeit. This Ruyi golden cudgel seems to have undergone some changes and become unstable. Could it be that Master Tai used some methods to cause it? Wu Yu observed the Ruyi golden cudgel in front of him with some doubts. He temporarily put aside the matter of Minglong and Nangong Wei, stretched out his hand and held the golden cudgel in front of him, wanting to feel it and see what it had. Change. But at this moment, the Ruyi golden cudgel was completely out of Wu Yu's control, and began to violently absorb Wu Yu's imperial immortal power. Wu Yu's expression changed, but it was too late to retreat at this time. Luo Bai, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yezixi also became nervous. In their eyes, after the Ruyi golden cudgel absorbed Wu Yu's imperial immortal power, it suddenly transformed into a golden vortex. From this vortex there were some weird murmuring sounds. This kind of whispering voice was very familiar to Wu Yu. It was the sound of the Buddha that he had imagined when he was cultivating the indestructible body of Vajra. Including Luo Po, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yezixi, they are also familiar with this kind of Buddhist sound, because they also heard similar sounds when they practiced their inherited body refining powers. This kind of Buddhist sound seems to be coming from some special place. It is something inherited by the Monkey King and his four predecessors. The body refining magical powers they practice all contain the power of this kind of Buddhist sound. It seems like a new world. Wu Yu couldn't hold on in the golden vortex and couldn't support it. He could only vaguely see that there seemed to be a world inside the golden vortex. Before he could observe more carefully, Wu Yu and the four of them were absorbed into the golden vortex almost at the same time, and then completely disappeared from the sky, together with the Ruyi golden cudgel that had just returned. Disappeared, as if it had never appeared. The four of them, Wu Yu, were sucked directly into the golden vortex, and like the Ruyi golden cudgel, they completely disappeared. In an instant, they all disappeared. The moment after they disappeared, the nearby void fluctuated, and two figures appeared outside the palace. They are obviously Patriarch Bodhi and Master Tai. Master Tai? How did you come here? Patriarch Bodhi looked up and was a little surprised. He didn't expect Master Tai to be here. I'm here to find Wu Yu. Tai Genren kept looking around, but with his methods, he couldn't find any trace of Wu Yu at all, which made him frown slightly. What are you looking for him for? Patriarch Bodhi was a little strange. Bodhi, do you know that Wu Yu's epic artifact is called the Ruyi Golden Cudgel? I was studying this epic artifact, but unexpectedly it suddenly flew away on its own. Tai Genren found it incredible no matter how he thought about it. Flied away by yourself. When Patriarch Bodhi heard this, he looked a little shocked. How could a mere epical artifact escape from your hands? It's incredible. I am also wondering. That Ruyi Golden Cudgel has definitely come back to find your disciple Wu Yu. Do you know where he is? Master Tai looked a little anxious. He is extremely interested in all kinds of treasures between heaven and earth. He finally got an interesting artifact of the era, but it escaped from his hands. This was something that even he had never encountered before. Let's look for it. Patriarch Bodhi had no choice but to search nearby for a while with Master Tai, but they didn't even see a single shadow. What should I do? Tai Genren's face didn't look good. In his opinion, this Ruyi Golden Cudgel was given to him by Wu Yu in exchange, but now it flew back on his own initiative and disappeared with Wu Yu. Isn't this a trick on him? Seeing Master Tai's expression change, Patriarch Bodhi had no choice but to say, Master, don't be anxious. The scoundrel must have left for the time being because of something. Just ask him when he comes back. You can rest assured, Master, we will never want anyone who belongs to Master Thing. Although Master Tai was depressed, he could only nod his head. He also knew that Patriarch Bodhi could not covet such a thing. As a disciple of Patriarch Bodhi, if Wu Yu comes back, Patriarch Bodhi will definitely help him get the Ruyi Golden Cudgel and hand it over to him. And even if Wu Yu wants to run away, the Tiangong Immortal Realm is so big, where can he run? He believed in Patriarch Bodhi, so he finally left, planning to return to Xuanhuan Golden Light Cave to wait for news about Patriarch Bodhi. Of course Wu Yu and the others didn't know about these situations. At this moment, the four of them were absorbed into the golden vortex formed by the Ruyi Golden Cudgel, and what appeared in front of them turned out to be a whole new world. This world is completely different from the previous heavenly palace, hell, and demon god realm. It looks extremely vast and huge, but it is a starry sky world with no boundaries. When Wu Yu and the others appeared in the starry sky, the four of them were in a trance, wondering, where is this place? Originally, even in the heavenly palace, Wu Yu could pass through half of the heavenly palace in an instant with the magical power of the somersault cloud. However, in this starry sky world, he could not reach very far by using his blink. It's like advancing a short distance in this starry sky world. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. It's not that the distance he's moving is getting closer, it's because the world is too vast. For the time being, Wu Yu doesn't know how big the world is, and he hasn't been able to sense its boundaries yet. Look, what is that? At this time, Yezixi suddenly cried out in surprise and pointed to the boundless starry sky ahead. Everyone looked at it and saw a huge black Buddha statue in front of them. This black Buddha statue stretches across the starry sky. It is almost as huge as the 90,000 small worlds in the immortal domain of heaven. The entire Buddha statue is a huge world. On the surface of this Buddha statue, there are countless mortals living, not only mortals, but also some immortal level beings. It seems that in this Buddha world, there is no difference between the mortal world and heaven. What on earth is this place? Wu Yu and the four of them were all confused. Why did the Ruyi Golden Cudgel suddenly bring them to this world? Go over and have a look. Wu Yu led the three of them as they gradually approached the Black Buddha statue, and soon entered the world of the Black Buddha statue and blended into it. After observation, they discovered that the mortals and immortals in this world of Buddha statues did not practice immortality, but various body-refining methods, which were completely different from the cultivation methods of the mortals in the celestial palace. It is a bit like the body-refining magical power that Wu Yu and the four of them have practiced, similar to Wu Yu's Vajra indestructible body. However, the body-refining methods practiced by these mortals and immortals are naturally not as powerful as the Vajra indestructible body. Mortals in this world of Buddha statues can achieve the level of physical Buddhahood through body training. Once they become a Buddha, they will be equivalent to the immortal level in heaven, and their lifespan will be greatly increased. Of course, in the eyes of an emperor like Wu Yu, these ordinary Buddhas are nothing. At least in this black world of Buddha statues, he has not seen any existence that has the strength to surpass himself. Every Buddha is a bit like the immortals in the heavenly palace immortal realm who have not yet become emperors. There are people in various realms, and they all rely on the body training method to cultivate step by step. Wu Yu became more and more curious about this place, and finally couldn't help it. He checked the memories of some Buddhas in this world, and finally discovered that this world was actually called the Tianfo Immortal Realm, which was the same as the Tiangong Immortal Realm. Level of Fairyland. This reminded Wu Yu of the various magical powers practiced by the four of him, especially the magical powers of body refining, including the indestructible body, which seemed to be cultivation methods from this world. The Great Immortal Technique is the way to become an immortal in the Celestial Palace Immortal Realm, and the indestructible body of Vajra is the way to become a Buddha in the Celestial Buddha Immortal Realm. The great sage Kishan possesses these two cultivation methods, which must be the same as the Celestial Buddha. The Immortal Realm is also related. Wu Yu suddenly thought of the Monkey King, and even the Curtain General, the Tianpeng Marshal, and the 8 heavenly dragons. They should all be related to the Buddha Immortal Realm. Otherwise, the four of them would not have a body refining ability. The method is so similar to the cultivation method in the Buddha Immortal Realm. My dear, my body refining method, the body of a 9-turn emperor and immortal, isn't it something from the Buddhist Immortal Realm? Nanshan Wanjiao was very surprised, never expecting that he would come to such a magical world. Yezixi's body of hell reincarnation and Luo Bai's body of 8 heavenly dragons obviously belong to the cultivation methods of this heavenly Buddha and immortal realm. The inheritance obtained by the four of them seems to be a kind of inheritance of the dual cultivation of immortals and Buddhas, including the immortal cultivation techniques of the Celestial Palace Immortal Realm and the body training methods of the Celestial Buddha Immortal Realm. Compared with Wu Yu's indestructible Vajra body and Ye 11's body of hell and reincarnation, he is also a kind of Buddha after his cultivation, but he is more inclined to the dark type of Buddha. The entire Tianfo Immortal Realm seems to be slightly smaller than the entire Tiangong Immortal Realm combined. After all, there are heavenly palaces, hells, and the destroyed world of demons and gods in the Tiangong Immortal Realm. Together with the 90,000 small worlds, it can be regarded as the Tiangong Immortal Realm. Part of. In the heavenly Buddha Immortal Realm, there are also countless mortals and countless Buddhas. Above the ordinary Buddhas, there are existences called Holy Buddhas. Such existences are equivalent to the heavenly palace Immortal Realm. At the same level as the Emperor Immortal, he is in the realm of immortality and has practiced various body refining techniques to the pinnacle. These holy Buddhas are the masters of the entire heavenly Buddha realm. Just when Wu Yu learned this, a huge voice suddenly sounded in the world of Buddha statues, with a very unkind tone, "You four, get out of my body quickly." Today, Chapter 4 of Holy Dragon Totem is updated, words. Chapter 3 of Swallowing the Sky is updated, 9,000 words. The madman works from 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. I say this to tell everyone that my condition is back and I am working very hard. I hope to get your support and understanding, thank you. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1727. Wu Yu quickly exited with the three of them. When they were far away and observed carefully again, they discovered that the black world of Buddha statues in front of them turned out to be the body of a holy Buddha. This surprised them a little. In the immortal domain of the heavenly palace, after mortals practice to become immortals, and eventually become immortals, their bodies become the imperial realm. In the imperial realm, there are countless mortals who can practice and develop their lives in it. The holy Buddha is different from the emperor immortal. After becoming a holy Buddha, it seems that the entire body will become a world. This made Wu Yu a little confused. You must know that in the black world of Buddha statues, those mortals and ordinary little Buddhas live on the surface of the Buddha statue world. So if the holy Buddhas fight, wouldn't these mortals suffer? In this heavenly realm of Buddha, only after becoming a Buddha in the physical body can one have the ability to leave the world of the holy Buddha and wander in the starry sky. In that black holy Buddha world, there are billions of mortals. Those mortals are in the process of cultivating and becoming Buddhas. They cannot live alone without leaving the holy Buddha world. In this case, once they fight, they will almost certainly die. At this time, Wu Yu still had some doubts about his indestructible body. His indestructible Vajra body is supposed to be complete, but it has not reached the state of physical sanctification, at least it has not become a huge Buddha world like the holy Buddha in front of him. He didn't know the reason, but he secretly guessed that it was because the indestructible body had a follow-up part. At this time, a voice came from the black Buddha world again. The voice was still a little unkind, but its attitude was slightly better than before. "You four, are you the Emperor Immortal from the Heavenly Palace Immortal Realm? Who are you?" Of course Wu Yu couldn't reveal his origins at will, so he asked a question. "I am the Golden Holy Buddha. There has been no communication between the Heavenly Palace Immortal Realm and the My Heavenly Buddha Immortal Realm for a long time. How could the four of you come here?" The Golden Saint Buddha's tone was still unkind, and he obviously regarded Wu Yu and the four of them as aliens. It was impossible for Wu Yu to tell the existence of the Ruyi Golden Cudgel. Anyway, up to now, even he was confused as to why the Ruyi Golden Cudgel suddenly turned into a whirlpool and brought the four of him to the Heavenly Buddha Immortal Realm. As soon as there was silence on his side, the Golden Holy Buddha on the other side spoke again. "If you don't explain clearly, I will take action to arrest you." What is very strange is that although the other party is known as the Golden Holy Buddha, the world of the Buddha statue is black, as if it has turned black, with a rather strange aura, which makes Wu Yu feel that there may be something in it. Something happens. But Wu Yu can't tell the specific details now. At this time, a golden-bodied Holy Buddha, who was completely black and the same size as ordinary people, appeared in front of them. The evil voice just now seemed to come from this small golden-bodied Holy Buddha. So they have two bodies. Wu Yu thought for a long time before he thought of this possibility, and couldn't help but be a little surprised. He thought of some of the Buddha memories he had just spied on. He didn't pay attention to them at first, but now that he thinks about it, it seems that the Holy Buddha in the Heavenly Buddha Fairyland has two bodies. The Black Buddha world, which is as huge as a small world and stretches across the starry sky world, is the Buddha realm of the Golden Holy Buddha. The ordinary-sized Golden Holy Buddha that now appeared in front of them was his Holy Buddha's true body, his true body. These two bodies are both part of the Golden Holy Buddha, but the Buddha realm is equivalent to the imperial realm of the Emperor Immortal, except that it is not in the Emperor Immortal's body like the imperial realm, but lies across the starry sky world. The mortals and little Buddhas living in it are exposed to this starry sky world. Under normal circumstances, the Holy Buddhas should all fight in the true form of the Holy Buddha. Both of them use the huge power of the Buddha realm and all living beings, which is no less than the imperial realm of the Emperor Immortal. At this moment, the true body of the Holy Buddha that came to them was the true body of the Golden Body Holy Buddha. It was a small black Buddha statue that seemed to have undergone some strange changes. There was a somewhat impatient and violent emotion in its eyes. The golden body of the Buddha statue should be golden. Why is this golden holy Buddha black? Wu Yu was a little confused. When he was cultivating the Vajra indestructible body, he once visualized some golden Buddha statues. All he saw were golden Buddha statues without exception. He had never seen a black Buddha statue. And from what Wu Yu has experienced, it seems that these Buddhas, especially the holy Buddhas, should be kind-hearted and have the enthusiasm to save all sentient beings. But the black golden holy Buddha in front of him seemed to have a bad temper and did not have the bearing of the holy Buddha in his impression. Why are you speechless? Why don't you tell me honestly how you came here from the heavenly palace immortal realm? Seeing Wu Yu and the others being silent, the golden holy Buddha's temper became even more violent, with a cruel look in his eyes. If you don't tell me honestly, I won't be polite. Wu Yu and the others looked at each other, not knowing how to answer. If the answer is that the Ruyi golden cudgel brought them here, and the existence of the Ruyi golden cudgel is exposed, it will undoubtedly be a tragedy if it provokes some existence that cannot be resisted. Therefore, it is impossible for Wu Yu to randomly talk about his origins, let alone how he came to be. Now facing the other party's questioning, Wu Yu and the others could not say anything. But before Wu Yu could think of how to answer, the golden holy Buddha couldn't bear it any longer. His temper seemed to have become more violent than expected, and he rushed towards him with a sharp shout. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Come die. The golden holy Buddha's eyes widened with anger, and his whole body was filled with black aura. The true body of the holy Buddha surrounding him instantly shattered the void and bombarded Wu Yu. The opponent just casually swept over with his kick, but he actually had the ability to break the void. Even if he punched the small world with one punch, it would probably break it into pieces. In this world of stars, the golden holy Buddha's simple kick shattered the void and came to Wu Yu with infinite power. Arhat's golden legs. This is the super magical power of the golden holy Buddha. The golden leg of the Arhat is an extremely pure close combat move. Every move it makes affects the power of the entire black Buddha statue behind it. A single kick can shatter the void. If Wu Yu really received this blow, I'm afraid his entire body would be shattered into pieces. The fighting method of the holy Buddha is a bit like the most primitive martial arts in the heavenly palace immortal realm, which uses the body to fight in close combat. If other emperors and immortals faced such an angry golden holy Buddha, they would probably suffer big losses in a hurry. Fortunately, Wu Yu has also cultivated the indestructible body, and his physical body is definitely not weak. Even if it is not as good as the opponent's level, it will not fall too far behind. Moreover, Wu Yu also possesses various magical powers that enhance the strength of the physical body. The laws of heaven and earth. When the golden holy Buddha attacked, Wu Yu made a quick decision and put all the other three people into the fusion tower to prevent them from being affected in such a battle. At the same time, his physical body suddenly grew countless times in size, and in an instant it became as big as a small world. At this time, Wu Yu's physical body strength increased 100 times compared to the original. The golden leg of the Arhat statue of the golden holy Buddha suddenly hit the solace of Wu Yu's feet. Suddenly there was a sound of gold and iron clashing, and the golden holy Buddha was suddenly thrown away. Wu Yu's display of this terrifying super magical power made the golden holy Buddha a little surprised. This is. The golden saint Buddha could not have imagined that. When did the emperor immortal from the immortal realm of heavenly palace possess such a powerful physical body? But he will not be afraid. You must know that this Tianfo immortal realm is their local territory. When will it be the turn of the emperor immortals of the Tiangong immortal realm to be arrogant here? Immediately afterwards, the golden holy Buddha was filled with black aura and suddenly grew larger. Although it was not as exaggerated as Wu Yu and became the size of a small world, it was still at least 100 times larger than his holy Buddha's true body. Thousands of hands break the sky. The golden holy Buddha roared angrily, and countless Buddha's hands appeared around the black Buddha statue. Each of these Buddha's hands was dark in color. The next moment, they gathered together, carrying infinite terrifying momentum, and moved towards Wu Yu's huge body of Fa Tian Xiang earth bombarded him. Wu Yu felt a shiver in his heart, feeling that the destructive power of the magical power used by the other party in anger seemed a bit terrifying, and even his giant body of the heaven and earth could not withstand it. So he shrank instantly in the next moment, from a giant body like a small world to a mote of dust that was worse than dust. He quickly fled to a distance at a speed 100 times faster than usual. Immediately afterwards, the countless black Buddha's hands were seen, under the magical power of 1,000 hands breaking the sky. They completely shattered the space, including the void, and continued to annihilate it towards the outside. If there is a small world in that place, that small world has been shattered by the magical power of the Golden Buddha. As for the mortals living in it, it is impossible for any of the mortals to survive. These methods must be the magical powers of the Holy Buddha. Where did you steal them? Seeing Wu Yu turn into dust and dodge at an extremely fast speed, this golden Holy Buddha was almost certain. He was sure that what Wu Yu used was some kind of Holy Buddha's magical power, which came from this heavenly Buddha realm. After this question, the golden Holy Buddha became even more fierce. He was covered in black aura and pursued Wu Yu relentlessly. Even though Wu Yu turned into a mote of dust, the opponent's speed was not slower than his. He actually kept hanging behind, making it impossible for Wu Yu to shake him off. The power of this Holy Buddha is really miraculous. Wu Yu had once seen various battles between emperors and immortals in the immortal realm of Tiangong, all of which were mainly based on era artifacts, emperors' magical powers, and emperors' magical powers. How had he ever seen physical magical powers like the Golden Saint Buddha? It is somewhat similar to the magical power inherited by the Monkey King, but Wu Yu doesn't know whether the magical power inherited by the Monkey King comes from the Buddha immortal realm. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1728. The Golden Body Buddha was even more merciless. After seeing Wu Yu's magical power, he firmly believed that he had stolen the magical power of the Buddha from the Tianfo immortal realm, so he shouted desperately, questioned constantly, and chased Wu Yu in this starry world, wanting to catch him. The Buddha has no boundaries. Seeing Wu Yu's incarnation of dust, escaping at an extremely fast speed, the Golden Body Buddha made a prompt decision and flipped his hand to perform another magical power of the Buddha. When the magical power of the Buddha was performed, his huge black palm appeared from the void and blocked Wu Yu's escape route at once. Just the palm of the Golden Body Buddha actually covered Wu Yu like the sky. Out of Lochlone. Seeing this, Wu Yu knew that it would be difficult for him to escape and he would definitely be covered by the other party's palm. In this case, he could only choose to fight hard. 5 million clones suddenly condensed from the void of the star world. Together with Wu Yu's original body, these clones simultaneously displayed his strongest attacking magical power, Broken World. The power from the Somersault Cloud magical power was simultaneously displayed by 5 million clones at this time. The huge black Buddha palm covering the sky was suddenly attacked by Wu Yu's 5 million clones at the same time. The terrifying power of Broken World exploded in an instant and bombarded the giant palm covering it. Then, under the powerful force of Broken World, the huge black Buddha hand began to break from the center, and the next moment it was completely broken into pieces and shattered by Wu Yu's magical power. Senior, stop first, I think you may have misunderstood. Wu Yu took the time to shout, he didn't want to be chased and beaten for no reason. Originally, he was confused when he came to the Tianfo immortal realm, and he wanted to figure out what was going on. As a result, the Golden Body Holy Buddha hit him all over, which made him a little confused. However, the Golden Body Holy Buddha had no intention of stopping. Especially when his magical power of Holy Buddha without boundaries was cracked by Wu Yu, and the huge black palm was actually smashed by Wu Yu, he was furious. What's the misunderstanding? You secretly came to the Tianfo immortal realm and secretly learned the magical power of the Tianfo immortal realm. This is an unforgivable crime. Why don't you surrender quickly? The golden body Holy Buddha snorted angrily, and the black Holy Buddha's true body actually changed again. The lingering black aura quickly condensed into countless Buddha handprints. Look at my holy Dharma, the golden body Buddha handprint. As his furious roar came out, the countless black Buddha handprints pressed towards Wu Yu from the void. Each of these black Buddha handprints has the ability to break the void. Even an Emperor Immortal like Xuexing Emperor Immortal cannot withstand any of the opponent's handprints. At this moment, the furious golden body Holy Buddha actually cast countless Buddha handprints at once, and stamped towards Wu Yu from all directions, trying to cover him on the spot. One by one, the black Buddha handprints, like a sky, kept covering Wu Yu. This so-called Holy Buddha Dharma should be equivalent to the Emperor Immortal's divine art. And some of the Holy Buddha magical powers that the opponent had cast before were equivalent to the Emperor's divine power of the Tiangong Immortal Realm Emperor Immortal. At this moment, these black Buddha handprints pressed heavily towards Wu Yu, leaving him with only one way to deal with it, that is to break these Buddha handprints. Burn the sky. Wu Yu's pair of fire eyes began to burst out with a burst of golden flames, and the flames suddenly burned on the black Buddha handprints. The black Buddha handprint closest to him was about to flatten him, but it was suddenly burned by the golden light of the burning sky, and turned into a black smoke and exploded in the void. But then, more black Buddha handprints came from different directions. The golden Buddha seemed determined to catch him and bring him to justice. Wu Yu certainly couldn't just sit there and wait for death. The magical power of burning sky was constantly released from his fire eyes and golden pupils, and the terrifying golden flames kept burning those black Buddha handprints. In this starry world, Wu Yu stared at the black Buddha handprint closest to him. With a flash of golden light in his eyes, he burned the handprint into black smoke and exploded, and then shifted his sight to another black Buddha handprint. These black Buddha handprints were extremely destructive. Facing Wu Yu's fire eyes and golden pupils, the burning sky magical power still couldn't do anything. One after another, they were burned into black smoke and exploded in this starry world. The Holy Buddha's magical power and the Holy Buddha's Dharma, both of which were used, but the Golden Buddha still couldn't do anything to Wu Yu, which seemed to make him even more impatient and even more irritable. The Black Holy Buddha's true body leaped like thunder in the void. You are really so bold, you are so angry. Look at the Holy Buddha's Dharma, the true interpretation of the Prajna Buddha's sound. With his rage, a string of Buddhist sounds seemed to ring out in the entire starry world, as if countless holy Buddhas were chanting the supreme Buddhist scriptures together. When these Buddhist sounds entered Wu Yu's ears, his whole body seemed to explode. The true interpretation of the Prajna Buddha's sound is one of the Holy Buddha's Dharma, and it is also the sonic attack magical power of the Golden Buddha, which is a bit similar to the means used by Mo Lion's ancient demon-suppressing harp. However, this true interpretation of the Prajna Buddha's sound is too unfamiliar to Wu Yu. Those Buddhist sounds went back and forth in his mind without stopping for a moment. When the Golden Buddha became violent and angry, the Holy Buddha Dharma he used became more and more powerful, and the murderous aura became heavier and heavier, so fierce that Wu Yu could not resist it. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Wu Yu, who was surrounded by the true interpretation of the Prajna Buddha's sound, felt more and more headache, and he felt that the Buddha's sound seemed to be getting heavier and heavier, making him want to fall asleep to escape from this suffering. The Golden Buddha looked violent, floating in this starry world, chanting the true interpretation of the Prajna Buddha's sound, making Wu Yu more and more painful and unbearable. No, if this goes on, I'm afraid he will really capture me. Wu Yu couldn't bear it, so he could only visualize the monkey in his heart. When the golden monkey image appeared in his mind, he suddenly sobered up a little, thinking that he had to leave the battlefield now, otherwise the situation would definitely be very bad. If he wanted to escape, he still used the old method. Somersault Cloud, instant. Wu Yu used the magical power of Somersault Cloud and used the top-level instant method. This supreme inheritance from the great sage equaling heaven finally took him away from this place in an instant. Instant was used. In the Tiangong immortal realm, it was possible to teleport half of the Tiangong in an instant. In this Tianfo immortal realm, Wu Yu used it in an instant and also took him to a very far place. Although it was still this starry world, it was so far away that even the huge black Buddha realm disappeared. The Prajna Buddha sound that penetrated the nose and ears finally dissipated from the surroundings. The somersault cloud was used, and the golden body Saint Buddha could not chase Wu Yu. The key is that this starry world is extremely vast, almost boundless, and there is no sense of direction. There is the same void in all directions. Now in front of Wu Yu, there is a void where nothing exists. There are stars twinkling in the distance, otherwise it is dark and nothing can be seen. After a while, seeing that the golden Buddha really couldn't catch up, Wu Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief. What's going on in this Tianfo immortal realm? Even the holy Buddha has become so violent and murderous. Wu Yu thought of the golden Buddha just now, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. Let alone what image the holy Buddha had in his mind, even an ordinary emperor immortal wouldn't be so cruel and violent. At least after Wu Yu became an immortal for so long, he really hadn't seen an emperor immortal who beat others to death for a disagreement, unless they were like the heavenly King Chiguo and the giant spirit, who had a grudge against Wu Yu, and it was understandable for them to do so. Wu Yu and the golden Buddha had just met, and the other party asked him 2 questions, but he didn't answer. Or, he hadn't figured out how to answer the other party, and the other party couldn't help but attack violently, which was very wrong. Could it be that the anomaly here is related to the heavenly palace fairyland and the demon god realm? Luo Bin was in the Fusion Tower, feeling everything around her, and proposed a possibility. Yes. Nanshan Wanjiao also nodded and analyzed. All the emperors and demons in the heavenly palace fairyland have forgotten their previous memories, and even destroyed the demon god realm together. Could the situation be related to the changes in the Tianfo fairyland? From the scenes of the Eternal Emperor burial and Saint Kishan, the destruction of the demon god realm and the siege of the great sage Kishan and others, during these 2 periods, the emperors and demons in the heavenly palace and the hell seemed to be in this violent state. They each recalled what they saw at the time. Whether it was the Eternal Emperor of the heavenly palace or the Eternal Emperor of the hell, when destroying the demon god realm, they were basically ruthless and indifferent, as if they had no emotions and only knew how to destroy. Originally, Wu Yu had not connected all the things together. But now, he thought of another thing, that is, the situation in the ancient demon world. There was a killing period in the ancient demon world. During the killing period, demon cultivators who reached a certain level of strength would forget themselves, lose consciousness, and fall into endless killing. Although the situation of the golden body holy Buddha is not so serious now, Wu Yu always feels that it is a bit similar. I really don't know what's going on. Wu Yu's face was a little ugly. Even though he knew a lot of things, he always felt that he couldn't find the root of these problems through these things. Old Wu, Ruyi Jingbang brought us to this Tianfo immortal realm, maybe there is a purpose, why don't we look around in this Tianfo immortal realm? It is also possible that the golden body holy Buddha is just a special case, maybe he is born to be more impatient. Nanshan Wanjiao made a suggestion. Wu Yu nodded. Now it seems that there is no way for us to go back anyway, we can only investigate this Tianfo immortal realm first, hoping to find some clues. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1729. Wu Yu took Luo Bin, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yezixi to explore the vast Tianfo fairyland together. In this case, it is impossible for them to act separately. If the three of them encounter the Holy Buddha who attacks indiscriminately like before, they will definitely not be able to resist it. So the four of them acted together and chose a direction to continue exploring the endless Tianfo fairyland. They didn't know how far they had passed, but they felt a terrifying noise coming from far ahead. It seemed that there were two beings of at least the level of Emperor Immortal fighting in the space ahead. This attracted the attention of Wu Yu and others. Let's go and have a look. Wu Yu and the three of them looked at each other, and then walked towards the place where the news of the battle came from. From a distance, they felt constant vibrations in the space in front of them, as if there was an extremely terrifying force shaking the surrounding space. It's two holy Buddhas fighting. Wu Yu and the others got a little closer and discovered that the two sides fighting in front were actually two holy Buddhas, and they were at least the third level of the Supreme Holy Buddha realm, which was much higher than Wu Yu's current level. They fought with too much power, and their movements were extremely terrifying. It was impossible for Wu Yu and the others to get closer, and they could only stay in the distance and watch. Behind the two holy Buddhas, there are two huge black Buddha realms. Just like the previous golden holy Buddhas, they are temporarily using the true bodies of the holy Buddhas to fight. The two huge black Buddha realms are behind them. Behind him, he was suspended in this endless world of stars. Even from such a distance, Wu Yu could see the mortals and ordinary Buddhas living and thriving on the two black Buddha realms. The battle between the two holy Buddhas in front of them caused some impact on the world of the two black Buddhas, and many living beings continued to die in the battle. Namo precious moon Buddha, you dare to be disrespectful to me, you really deserve death. Look at the move, the hand seal of the great Buddha of merit. After one of the black holy Buddha's true bodies shouted ferociously, a black handprint of the Buddha statue condensed in the space in front of him, and rushed towards the other black holy Buddha's true body. Along the way, the void was covered by this huge black sky covering the big handprint was shattered. Namo Merit Flower Buddha, I am disrespectful to you, what can you do? Die. Another black holy Buddha was equally furious, and his attacks were even more brutal. A black Buddha statue fell from the sky, suppressing the entire space to pieces. Even Wu Yu and the others who were watching the battle from a distance could feel the space vibration coming from the front. This level of power was far beyond Wu Yu's strength. If Wu Yu was fighting against these two holy Buddhas, in any battle, they may be defeated directly in a few seconds. The battle between the two black holy Buddhas shook the void. As for why they were fighting, Wu Yu still didn't understand it until now. It seems that there is some dignity issue involved. Wu Yu and the others didn't know the specific situation. Anyway, the two black holy Buddhas they had looked a little irritable, not much different from the golden holy Buddha they had seen before. Could it be that the verbal conflict caused them to fight? Nanshan Wanjiao watched the fight from a distance and listened to the other party's roar that echoed through the sky, and couldn't help but guess. I really don't know what's going on. Let's keep watching. They can't affect us here anyway. Yazixi was also curious, but it was impossible to get close to ask about the situation now. If the two holy Buddhas attack them together, they will have no choice but to run away. Namo precious moon Buddha, Namo merit flower Buddha, these two black holy Buddhas were fighting in the void, and they kept shouting curses at each other. These words sounded very cruel, and they threatened to tear each other into pieces. Mean. In fact, these two holy Buddhas are even more difficult to understand than the previous golden-bodied holy Buddhas. It seemed as if enemies for generations had to fight each other to the death. If it were actually the heavenly palace fairyland, such a fierce battle must have been initiated because of the extremely deep hatred between the two sides, because it can be seen that they have used all kinds of magical powers to fight against each other. All kinds of holy Buddha's Dharma and holy Buddha's supernatural powers were exerted desperately, hoping to kill the other party. Although it seemed like this, after listening to the exchanges between them for a while, Wu Yu and the others finally seemed to understand something. That is, these two holy Buddhas had no enmity at all. They were basically walking in the Black Buddha world in the endless star world, the heavenly Buddha fairyland, and the two sides suddenly bumped into each other. Then I don't know who looked at the other one too much, which made the other holy Buddha very unhappy and cursed. After that, the conflict between the two sides got out of control, the situation got out of control, and a huge battle between the holy Buddha and the Buddha began. Hearing this, Wu Yu and the others felt a little weird. Isn't it possible? They just didn't like it when they passed by, so they started fighting like this. Luo Ben almost doubted her ears, whether she heard wrongly. But judging from the curses mixed with the opponent's battle, it sounds like this is indeed the case. The Namo Precious Moon Buddha and the Namo Glorious Flower Buddha had no grudge at all. They just started fighting over a disagreement when they met. It was simply unreasonable for them to even kill each other. It seems that the two holy Buddhas have completely lost their minds, becoming extremely cruel and violent, with very impatient and bloodthirsty personalities. This chapter is not yet finished. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content below. The Holy Buddha Dharma and Holy Buddha magical powers of both sides constantly attacked each other, and when they fought, they were simply fighting desperately. There was no defense, dodge, or resistance at all. The two holy Buddhas simultaneously used various attacking magical powers, and even if they were seriously injured, they would still cripple the other party. Various brutal Buddhist magical powers broke out, and a large area of the void in front was constantly shattered. The true bodies of the holy Buddhas on both sides soon took on serious injuries, but even so, they had no intention of retreating at all, and they were still scolding each other, and then used stronger attack methods on each other. After a move that almost killed both of them, they could not hold on, and each retreated back to their huge Black Buddha world. The next moment, they merged into the Black Buddha world, and the two giant Black Buddha statues actually began to move. Are they going to fight in the Buddha realm? Wu Yu and his companions were stunned. You have to know that there are billions of living beings in the Buddha realm. No matter they are mortals, ordinary Buddhas, or some other natural creatures, they are all vulnerable to the holy Buddha realm. Once the Buddha realm is attacked, the creatures living in the Buddha realm will definitely die, and there is no way to survive. Just when Wu Yu and his companions were a little bit unbelievable, the two black holy Buddhas on the other side really started the process of fighting in the Buddha realm. The two giant Black Buddha statues began to collide in this endless starry sky. The terrifying power was like a crushing force for mortals. The huge Black Buddha statues on both sides collided. Although the surface was covered with a black aura shield, every collision would cause countless mortals to perish and be devastated. This scene can be said to be extremely spectacular, but Wu Yu and his companions always felt incredible and too shocking when they saw it. These two holy Buddhas, Namo Baya Buddha and Namo Gongdi Hua Buddha, didn't care about the billions of lives in their respective Buddha worlds at all, and turned a blind eye to the deaths of countless lives. Even later in the fight, the two giant Black Buddha worlds actually exerted their strength at the same time, integrating countless lives, mortals, and ordinary Buddhas on the surface into the earth, which means that the holy Buddhas are the bodies of the Buddha world. It seems that the two holy Buddhas took the initiative to integrate and devour all the billions of lives in their respective Buddha worlds, turning them into part of their own power. In this way, the billions of mortals and ordinary Buddhas who originally had the possibility of surviving the war were killed and injured in an instant, and there was not a single survivor among the billions of lives in the two Black Buddha worlds. After devouring countless lives, the two Buddha worlds became more powerful, and they collided with the Buddha worlds and fought. They were all pure physical collisions, but this huge Buddha world collision was more shocking than when they fought with the real bodies of the holy Buddhas. The void would vibrate at any time, and the vibrations of the space shattering could even be transmitted to Wu Yu and his companions who were infinitely far away, shocking them extremely. The existence of the third level of the Supreme Holy Buddha realm was indeed much stronger than the first and second levels. With Wu Yu's current strength, it was difficult for him to intervene in this kind of battle. The two huge black Buddha worlds of the other side could crush Wu Yu into pieces as long as they swung their bodies at will. The battle between the two holy Buddhas was straightforward. Every punch and kick could almost shatter the void. The collision of the Buddha worlds of both sides aroused waves of space ripples in this endless starry sky, spreading outward. As their battle became more and more intense, the huge Buddha worlds of both sides began to be damaged. First, the arm of the Buddha world of one of the holy Buddhas was shattered, and at the same time, the shoulder of the other side was shattered, and it was completely scrapped in an instant. Such a battle was extremely bloody. Although there was no blood flying everywhere, the Buddha world was so huge that it looked even more shocking. The two Buddha worlds were constantly torn apart and severely damaged in the fierce battle. After the two Buddha worlds were severely damaged, it was difficult for them to recover in a short period of time. Too violent, is this the battle between the holy Buddhas? It is much simpler and more direct than the Emperor Immortals. Xuanhuan was shocked. In particular, the mortals and Buddhas in the two Buddha worlds died instantly, which made him feel extremely shocked. This kind of shock was something he had never felt since he started practicing. The only time he felt a bit similar was when he saw the scene of the destruction of the demon god world in the Eternal Emperor's burial. It seems that they can't hold on anymore and are about to escape at this time. Luo Bin looked at the simple and violent battle in front of her and saw that the two holy Buddhas seemed to be preparing to escape. This made Wu Yu and the others immediately come back to their senses from the shock of the extinction of all living beings and cheer up. If you want to understand what is going on in the Tianfo fairyland, perhaps you can start with one of the holy Buddhas. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1730. As expected, the two holy Buddhas chose to flee after both sides were severely injured. After all, now their two huge black Buddha worlds have become broken hands and feet, and even the holy Buddha's true body has become incomplete. If they continue to fight, they will only end up completely destroyed. Although they are manic and violent, they still cherish their own lives. So almost after being severely injured, they retreated at the same time and prepared to escape far away. Wu Yu targeted one of them and let Luo Bin and the other three enter the fusion tower. Then he used the magical power of law of heaven and earth to shrink to the extreme, almost like dust, and chased after the other party at an extremely terrifying speed. If Wu Yu was not mistaken, the holy Buddha he was chasing should be called Namo Baya Buddha. If this Namo Baya Buddha was in his prime, Wu Yu would never be his opponent, but now he has been seriously injured, and the strength of the third level of the Supreme Holy Buddha realm can only be exerted 30% of the 100%. Wu Yu and Luo Bin joined forces, and it should still be possible to control him, so that they could ask him some information. Until this time, Wu Yu was still shocked by the battle between the two holy Buddhas. Mainly, when the two holy Buddhas collided with each other in the Buddha realm, and then devoured and merged the billions of living beings, it gave him too many feelings, making him feel that this Tianfo immortal realm seemed to be completely different from the Tiangong immortal realm. In this Tianfo immortal realm, mortals and living beings have no status at all. Even if they become Buddhas, which is equivalent to the existence of immortals in the Tiangong immortal realm, in the eyes of these holy Buddhas, they are just equivalent to fuel, food, and vitality. In this way, during the battle, billions of living beings are equivalent to consumables. In the eyes of the holy Buddhas, they may feel that in the near future, perhaps in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, they can create a new batch of living beings in their Buddha realm, and they will continue to reproduce and become their fuel and energy source again. Having become a Buddha, although they can leave the Buddha world of the holy Buddha and survive in this starry sky, there is no spiritual energy or immortal energy in the endless starry sky for ordinary Buddhas to practice. After leaving the Buddha world, these ordinary Buddhas will eventually die out. After all, they are not in the realm of immortality and their lifespan is limited. It seems that in this Tianfo immortal realm, the holy Buddha is the master. Except for the holy Buddha, all other beings have no status at all. Even between the holy Buddhas, they will start fighting as soon as they disagree. It's like a barbaric world. At this moment, Wu Yu has such a feeling in his heart. And a normal world will never be like this. After all, there are so many holy Buddhas in Tianfo immortal realm. Where did these holy Buddhas come from in the beginning? They must have practiced step by step from mortals. If Tianfo immortal realm was in such an environment at the beginning, there would not be so many holy Buddhas. It can be said that it is completely unfortunate for mortals to be born in the current Tianfo immortal realm. Basically, there is only death waiting for them, and there is no hope. The land that gave birth to them, that is, the Buddha world of the Holy Buddha, started fighting and destroyed all living beings at the first sign of disagreement. In this environment, they had no chance to cultivate into the Holy Buddha. It can be said that in such a Tianfo immortal realm, the possibility of mortals achieving immortality is much lower than that in the Tiangong immortal realm. It is already quite difficult for mortals in the Tiangong immortal realm to achieve the Emperor Immortal, and this Tianfo immortal realm is even more terrifying. In the process of cultivation, a little carelessness will lead to a destructive force that will destroy them all, and there is no ability to resist at all. Wu Yu thought of himself. Even if he had the inheritance of the great sage equaling heaven, he was born in such a Tianfo immortal realm at the beginning, and there was absolutely no possibility of cultivating to this level now. In the Tiangong immortal realm, as long as he did not act recklessly and too ostentatiously, the opponents he faced would not be much better than himself, even if he could not deal with them. For example, the Yanhuang ancient emperor was just an ordinary immortal. If the Yanhuang ancient emperor was an immortal emperor immortal equivalent to the Holy Buddha, how could Wu Yu be here today? This is a savage and terrible world. There is no hope for mortal beings. Wu Yu was moved. Since the Ruyi Jingbang sent him to this Tianfo immortal realm, there must be a purpose. He cannot miss this opportunity and must find a way to figure out the situation. There is an opportunity in front of him. He followed the severely injured Namo Bayu Buddha all the way, heading towards some relatively deep and hidden places in Tianfo immortal realm, waiting for the right opportunity to take action. Wu Yu remembered that when he first practiced the Vajra indestructible body, one of the realms was the Namo Bayu Wang Buddha golden body. The Buddha statue he visualized at the beginning was almost exactly the same as the Namo Bayu Buddha in front of him, except that the Namo Bayu Buddha in front of him turned black. In connection with some of the words said by the golden body Saint Buddha before, Wu Yu was more convinced that the Vajra indestructible body he practiced originated from this Tianfo immortal realm. After the severe injury of Namo Bayu Buddha, the more he fled, the deeper the place he reached, and he had no idea that someone was following him. Finally, in a relatively secluded space, the Namo Bayu Buddha fell silent and began to recuperate. With such a severe injury, it would probably take tens of thousands of years to recover. Just when he was relieved and was about to take a rest, Wu Yu finally made a move. With his current strength, there is still no problem in dealing with the severely injured Namo Bayu Buddha, not to mention the help of Luo Ben and the others. Now is not the Emperor Immortal trial, he can only be allowed to take action alone. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Heaven and Dragon unite. Of course Luo Ben knew what she should do. When Wu Yu was about to take action, she transformed into a snow-white dragon and merged with Wu Yu's body. At the same time, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were not idle, and each took the lead in attacking the Nanwu Bayu Buddha. Of course, the magical means they used were not combat type, but illusions, and the like. In conjunction with their respective top-level epical artifacts, there were suddenly numerous and confusing illusions that enveloped the Namo Precious Moon Buddha, and for a while it made him alert, but it was difficult to break free. As soon as Wu Yu and the others made a move, Nanwu Bayu Buddha reacted, but now he was in a severely injured state. It took him some time to break free from the illusion of Nanshan Wanjiao and the others. This delay caused him to completely lose the opportunity. Ruyi golden cudgel, make me dizzy. Wu Yu held the Ruyi golden cudgel in his hand, and combined with Luo's concubine's divine power of the union of heaven and dragon, he instantly swung the Ruyi golden cudgel. The golden light flashed, and there was a wake-up call, which stunned Namo Baoyu Buddha on the spot. Even though he was at the third level of the Supreme Saint Buddha realm, Namo Baoyu Buddha was seriously injured and could not withstand the magical power of the Ruyi golden cudgel. He was immediately stunned on the spot. By the time he woke up, Wu Yu and the four of them had already surrounded him, completely trapping him so that he could not escape. "Who are you?" Namo Baoyu Buddha showed a fierce expression, his eyes full of rage. "Answer our questions well, or I'll kill you," Wu Yu immediately warned. Nan Wu Baoyu Buddha felt the emperor's immortal aura coming from Wu Yu's body, and immediately did not dare to say anything. He also knew that he was seriously injured now and was definitely not Wu Yu's opponent, and he would definitely need more time to recover from his injuries. "It will take a while. Aren't you from the heavenly Buddha immortal realm?" Namo Baoyu Buddha, like the golden holy Buddha, could tell the origins of Wu Yu and others at a glance. Wu Yu was not surprised. After all, the gap between the Emperor Immortal and the Holy Buddha was so huge that anyone could see it at a glance, not to mention that the other party was a Holy Buddha. But he won't answer the other party's questions. "We are asking you now, not you asking us. Remember, or you will die here completely," Wu Yu snorted coldly, and his expression became ferocious. Of course, it was to intimidate the Nanwu Baoyu Buddha. This dark true body of the Holy Buddha was so frightened that he dared not move. In the severely injured state, he could not even arouse his ferocious nature. The main reason was that he was too afraid that he would die. After all, the Holy Buddha originally had a lifespan of eternal life. Once he died, just nothing. You can ask. After Namo Baoyu Buddha recognized the reality, he calmed down and prepared to cooperate. However, there was still a ferocious and violent aura in his eyes, as if he would commit murder if given the chance. Now it was just an illusion of calmness due to desperation. Wu Yu and the others looked at each other and finally managed to deal with the extremely ferocious-looking Namo Baoyu Buddha. Next, they could ask some questions about the current situation of the heavenly Buddha immortal domain. How many holy Buddhas are there in the Tianfo immortal realm now? Wu Yu asked first. For him, the number of holy Buddhas helps him make judgments on some things. About hundreds of thousands. Namo Baoyu Buddha opened his mouth and answered. This question was nothing to him, and it should be something everyone knows in this Tianfo immortal realm. Wu Yu then asked, "Why are the holy Buddha I saw, your Buddha realm and the holy Buddha's true body all black?" When Namo Baoyu Buddha heard this question, he looked a little mocking. "Isn't the Buddhist world all black? You, an emperor from the heavenly palace immortal realm, don't know anything about our heavenly Buddha immortal realm. What do you want to do? What? Be honest and stop nagging about things I haven't asked you to answer," Wu Yu threatened with a Ruyi golden cudgel in his hand. After all, it's very frustrating to be interrupted by others when asking questions. Namo Baoyu Buddha seemed to be a little afraid that Wu Yu would really kill him, and immediately stopped talking nonsense, but his eyes still showed a bloody violence and were covered with bloodshot eyes. "Okay, continue to answer. Why do all the holy Buddhas in my impression have golden bodies? Whether it is the Buddhist world or the true body of the Holy Buddha, they are all golden," Wu Yu continued the question just now. To him, this is a more critical issue. After hearing this question, Namo Baoyu Buddha also seemed a little puzzled. Why did this kid ask such common sense questions? He replied, "The true bodies and Buddha realms of all holy Buddhas are originally black. Only the Supreme Buddha is golden." Who is the Supreme Buddha? When Wu Yu asked about this, a look of longing appeared in the eyes of Namo Baoyu Buddha. The Supreme Buddha is the strongest in the entire heavenly Buddha immortal realm.